Today in this video I'm going to show you how to relocate a light switch without chasing any walls. I'll be doing this by using the Kinetic wireless receiver and switches. Unfortunately, the intro to this video, again, my microphone let me down. So I'm going to talk you through it and give you a voiceover for the first little bit. All the important stuff though, the mic is working. I have ordered a new camera with a built-in mic receiver, so we will not have these problems anymore. Really sorry about this. Also quickly, I've been jumping on and doing some random lives on YouTube. So make sure you hit that bell icon if you want to catch me when I'm doing this. And tomorrow I'm going to do another Sunday night live, the 10th of December, just for an hour or so, around 7, 8 o'clock. Have a beer with me, let's have a chat, ask me anything you want. Hopefully see you there. So what we have here is a double gang light switch. Next to this light switch there used to be a doorway, and that's why the light switch is now in the middle of the wall. One of the switches does the outside light and the other switch does the light in the centre of this room. The entrance to this room has now been moved to the other side, and this is where we need to install the light switch. I have not been involved in this little building project, but been called in to try and sort out this switching issue. So the way I'm going to get around it today is by installing the Kinetic wireless switch and receiver. This is the receiver here that I'm showing, and this is the switch. I'm going to install a 35mm deep double gang back box next to the existing switch to house the receiver, and I'm going to install a 25mm single gang box to house the wireless switch. Even though I did show a 35 one there, doesn't matter, I didn't use it. And that was the blank plate I'm going to use, and this is the single gang switch that I'm going to put in that switch's place, as that switch will only now operate the outside light. Now sometimes with these wireless receivers you can put the wireless receiver in the light fitting or behind it. In this case I can't, and that's because they have this Mahusive fan, and I know from experience there's never enough room in this to put anything, let alone this receiver. And that is why we're going to have to chase out the wall and stick a back box there. So let's get on with it. I'm using my 240 Makita SDS drill. I get a lot of hate for using a 240 mains drill rather than a battery one, but I just like this drill. It just works for me and it's never let me down, so I'm sticking with it. First of all though, I've got the multi-tool out and I'm just cutting the plasterboard for where I'm going to sit the metal gang back box. And I'm using a dustpan here just to catch as much dust as I can because the walls are just being painted. Here the fender's on, and time to get that SDS drill into action. The wall was built with that thermalite block, so it was nice and easy to chase out. You've got to be a little bit careful though, because sometimes it is a little bit crumbly and you take out more than what you need. Dustpan went out the window at this point, and before you know it, I've cut out a lovely hole, perfect size for that box. If you made it this far into the video, I just want to say a big thank you for bearing with me. The microphone is about to come back in action. The next thing I'm going to do with this switch is just get this tape off these neutrals. And I'm going to disconnect the cable that goes to the light fitting. And then take that out of the Wago blocks. Now you can do these by twisting the cables normally. Just like that. And I'm going to leave the earth in there because the receiver doesn't have an earth terminal. Then I'm going to get myself a bit of 2.5 cable and poke it through the hole, and this is going to join onto this cable that goes to the light because this isn't long enough to get through to here. And then I'm going to need to put another 2.5 cable through there, and that's going to be my supply or my feed. So this is the Kinetic wireless receiver, and it looks like that. You can see it's quite chunky, which is why I've had to put a 35mm double back box in the wall. If I just take the terminal covers off here, it's really simple to wire. As you can see, you've got your lives and your neutrals, and there's no earth terminals. And inside it couldn't be clearer. And you have these push fit terminals. So I'm going to get these cables stripped back and I'll show you how to connect them up. So the other thing I've done here is I've put my earth cables into the earth terminal in the back of the back box. I've got this earth cable which I'm going to connect to my blank plate because that's metal, and then this earth cable is going to go through into this one to connect up to that earth terminal. So that way the back box and the front plate is all earthed. So inside here what you have is these terminals here. You have the top two, which says live out and a neutral. That is for the cable that goes to the light fitting. And then you have 4 terminals here, which have 2 for live and 2 for neutral, or line and neutral. And they've got 2 lots there in case you have a loop in and a loop out. So I'm going to connect this cable here, which is my feed, into one of these 2 terminals. And then my other cable, which goes to the light, into the live out and the neutral. So it should look something like this. Now my single insulation isn't going to be all within that, but it doesn't matter because you're allowed single insulation in a back box. No need to make it hard work if you don't have to. Next I'm going to disconnect the switch, and this cable at the top, I know that's my feed, and I'm just going to put a little black mark on it just so I know that. And then the one below it is my switch line for the outside light, and I'm just going to put 2 lines on it the other way, just so I don't lose track of everything. So this cable here is my permanent feed, which is one of these neutrals as well. And then this one is the switch line for the outside light with one of these neutrals, earths. So what I'm going to do is, this cable I've got labelled up F, I'm going to join that brown with this brown here, so that makes this permanently fed. And then this cable is going to get joined with this cable here, which goes to the light, and that's my switch line, which is the live out to the light fitting. And I'm going to put a new 1 gang switch on. For those absolute novices, we have 3 terminals here, and that is because this is a 2-way switch. We have the common at the top, and that's where we're going to put the feed. Then you have L1 and L2. We'll be using the L1 terminal today because it's not 2-way. And we have the earth terminal, which you must use. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the neutral, which is supplying the kinetic switch, and put that in the neutral block. And then we can just tuck that away and get rid of that. Next, we have my cable with the 1 line on it. That's my feed in. And I'm also going to put the brown, which is feeding the kinetic, in the same terminal, in the common, in the light switch. And the cable with the 2 little stripes, that goes to the outside light, that's going into the L1 terminal. And then I need to try and get all 4 of these earths into that earth terminal. So that should look like this. So we're going to put in that light switch on this wall here. So I'm going to measure the height of the others, mark this up and get it cut out. So with the kinetic switch that I'm installing, it's a grid module and it's only that deep. So I should be able to get away with a 25mm back box, which, just cutting out the plasterboard, is the perfect depth. So this is the grid switch that comes, that you need to order. It does have an earth terminal on it, which I won't be using because there's no way of me earthing it for a start, and also there's no voltage here whatsoever. The kinetic switch works purely on kinetic energy. So the way you install this into this, it says top there, and you simply push it in and it clips in like that, and then you screw that back to the back box. Don't screw it all the way back because it has to be a bit like this, because if you screw it too far back, then this switch won't be flush with the blank plate. So you're better off leaving it a little bit loose, and then the back plate will tighten up around this and hold that tight into position. This is the very light back plate that I've got. It's the closest match I could get to the other fixtures. And then simply screw this on without dropping the screws. Like this. So I'm going to show you now how to pair this up, and then once we've got that done, I'll put the blank plate over here, and then we're all done. So what you need to do to pair this up is go to your receiver and hold down that button there until you get a flashing red light, like we do there. And then you simply go over to your light switch and click it. And that is it, all paired up. These kinetic switches are an absolute get out of jail free card. If I didn't have done it this way, the way that I would have had to do it is go from this switch and chase up the wall and then chase all the way down to keep it into my zones, and then down. This whole switch thing's just been an afterthought completely. It's just been missed. And this is the simplest way of doing it, the cheapest, and no damage. Downside, yes, they've got another blank plate there, but it's either a blank plate or destruction. So let's get that blank plate fitted. This blank plate is the skull decor mode, the same as the light switch, so I've managed to match everything else up, apart from the other switch, but to be honest, you barely notice it. And the customer is happy with it, and that's all that matters. This skull decor stuff does come with like different surrounds. You've got a black, a white, and a grey. I'm not going to use any of these, and that's only because the rest of the range hasn't got them on, and I don't want it to look out of place. On the back of the blank plate, we do have the earth terminals there and there, so I'm going to connect one of them up with this earth fly lead that I've left here. And then if you've done it right, it's going to look like this. All nice and level, all screws pointing downwards. A little bit of touching up here to do, but that's not going to be an issue. And then that lovely little switch there. I've also got a socket to change. Won't bother showing you that. It's just changing a socket. Subscribe to my channel.